Trout fishing has brought me to some of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. The deep, blue-colored water of the freestone streams that these trout inhabit make trout anglers go to the extremes to find these fish. Myself, just like many other trout freaks, have found themselves driving hours into the middle of nowhere just to fish for these underwhelming fish. Now, New Jersey is not typically going to be your destination trout location. Most trout fishermen will find themselves in the forests of Pennsylvania or in deep, remote, mountainous areas. But New Jersey, specifically southern New Jersey, is not on the radar for anybody. Most of southern New Jersey's trout fisheries have succumbed to development or the Great Dam era of the 1930s and 1960s. So New Jersey has a trout map that shows all the trout fisheries from North Jersey all the way to South Jersey. When you're looking at it, you'll find one little small speck right at the bottom of southern New Jersey. It almost looks like a mistake, or a little blemish that somebody forgot to clean up. As it turns out, there is one native trout fishery that's actually survived the overdevelopment and litter that you can find all over South Jersey. Fortunately for the trout, and unfortunately for the anglers, it happens to be on an extremely exclusive and private piece of land. Trump National Golf Club. Trump National Golf Club is resting on top of a big old hill in a town appropriately named Pine Hill. This area just so happens to be the tallest area in South Jersey. The elevation change provides the perfect flow of water to wash out the sediment and create a perfect area for trout reproduction. The upper section of the stream that's on the golf course and still holds native trout is known as Mason's Run. Mason's Run holds what is known as the Brook trout. The brook trout is also New Jersey's designated state fish.
Look at this fish. Look at the colors on that fish.
Now the brook are a little bit more aggressive than their rainbow and brown cousins. To me, this makes them a lot more interesting and a lot more exciting to go after. Now the brook trout are also found in smaller streams, so naturally, they're a little bit smaller than the browns and the rainbows. Now their size might be a little underwhelming, but the colors of these brook trout are unlike anything else I've fished for. They have yellow, orange, and red spots with big blue halos around them, and their vibrant color sticks out from any other fish that you'll find in small creeks. The golf course actually spends around $10,000 annually just to maintain and preserve the stream. They've also done tons of work to it. In 2012, the stream went over a complete overhaul. They stabilized the banks and they added structure for these trout to continue to inhabit and survive in this native trout stream. So on my first trip to find the elusive southern New Jersey brook trout, I ran into a lot of roadblocks. Most notably, and pretty unsurprisingly, private property was my biggest issue. I managed to find a spot along the road in a neighborhood that is downstream from Mason's Run. This specific area was known as Hidden Lake.
That was pretty sick. That was pretty sick.
This area used to be a swimming pool back in the 50s and 60s, so there's a bunch of weird stairs and ladders and other strange things out there. This fenced off area used to be the turtle pen, back when this was a swimming hole, but this wasn't privately owned property anymore. Now at first glance of this section of stream, it was pretty evident that there was going to be no native brook trout surviving here. There was tons of trash, pollution. And most importantly, I noted that it was mostly a sand-bottom stream. I walked and fished non-stop for about 2 hours, and I barely even saw the shadow of a fish. single barbless hooks, baby. Now as I made my way up closer and closer to the golf course, things started to turn a little bit. Every now and then when I stepped near the bank, you would see a little fish fry take off and hide. Now just as I started getting to the end of the public land, things really started to change. The sand bottom started turning into a rocky, stable stream bed. And right when I thought my day was coming to an end, I got my first bite of the day. Came all the way down the stream, walked all the way down the public part of it, to this little spillway, for one little pumpkin seed. Pretty little guy. Now I can't say I've ever been excited for a small sunfish bite, but this one felt a little bit more rewarding. Little guy. Pretty colors on him though for just being in this dirty little backwater South Jersey stream, right? Okay, look at the blues, the red on the tail. Healthy looking little fish. Now this really did nothing to prove that brook trout were living here, but this did prove that fish were able to reproduce and survive in this section of the stream. I knew if I was able to continue forward, things would continue to get better. I was at the end of the road. This sent me back to the truck to pack my things up and call it a day. While trying to do more and more research about Mason's Run, I couldn't help but think about how this has been the only remaining stream that actually gets the preservation that is needed to keep these trout local to our wildlife.
It's flying out of the net. No way. It just threw out.
Dude, that's a huge fish. What I have found is that the need for native trout in our ecosystem is rather low. Now, unfortunately, the only way that New Jersey Fish and Wildlife has gone about maintaining trout populations is not through preservation, but rather through trout stocking. Trout stocking has been a nationwide answer to the declining numbers of native trout. All of the money that could go into the conservation of these fish instead goes towards the hatcheries to provide fishermen with an easier and more sustainable source of trout. The native trout are forgotten and neglected, leaving places like Mason's Run a hidden gem in the woods of South Jersey.
Just like a bonus chapter, we doing laps around the track, running past the bogus rappers, hoping to catch us will end up in a disaster. We order splash the cast on Junior Bone